Oh, great. Good afternoon. My name is Victor Ochieng. I'm a trained teacher by profession. I'm a teacher of English and literature. But I decided to go the private practice. I run a consultancy firm that deals in 4 things. That is writing, editing, public speaking and training. I work with schools across the country by delivering talks in those schools, talks that focus on academics, career, and training services. I also write books, and I also write for Saturday Nation. I write for Education News and the Star newspaper. And mostly I write about careers, I write about leadership, I write about schools. And in schools, we do a lot pertaining life skills, and that's why I'm here today, this afternoon. We want to discuss wise use of the holiday. As we all know, most of our learners are at home for the long December holiday. It's only candidates that are in school writing their exams, KCSE exams. As they continue the exams, we want to wish them all the best. We want to pray and to support them by all means, and more so the moral support, to urge them to write papers and to go about the whole business with a lot of confidence and courage. But as we focus on learners who are at home, we want to delve deep into wise use of the holiday. As we all know that the holiday is quite long, and that means that there should be a lot of wisdom as far as the use of the holiday is concerned. Basically, when we talk about wisdom, I read the book of Proverbs chapter 4 verse 7, and I see the wise man saying, wisdom is the principal thing. So in all your dealings, seek understanding. That is Solomon speaking, who according to 1 Kings chapter 4 verse 32 wrote around 3,000 proverbs and 1,005 songs. So he comes back to the book of Proverbs and he writes wisdom. And part of the wisdom that he brings to our attention is that in all things we should put the same wisdom first. That wisdom is the principal thing. In all our dealings, we seek understanding. Perhaps it is important to steer clear on that, because how does this wisdom come? Wisdom is the right application of knowledge. And knowledge is basically acquiring facts. When you acquire a lot of facts, we say you have knowledge. You are a knowledgeable person. And it is good to have knowledge, and it's good to apply the knowledge correctly. Again, the Bible says in Hosea chapter 4 verse 6 that my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And Isaiah chapter 5 verse 13, we are told, my people are sent into captivity for lack of knowledge. So knowledge is very key, and acquiring it is very key. When we acquire knowledge and apply it correctly, we say we are wise. And that is what young people ought to do. As they read books, as they interact with the teachers, as they interact with their mentors and any sort of life coach, they should gain knowledge. And gaining knowledge alone is not enough. The knowledge must be applied. We say knowledge is power, but basically it's not just power. We have to apply it, because when you get to a dark room, any physicist will tell you that when you get to a dark room and you don't switch on the lights, you may not be able to see the lights. So right or correct application of knowledge is wisdom. Wisdom is also plenty of common sense. When there's a lot of common sense, we say there is wisdom, which is very, very important. Over and above, the fear of God is wisdom. That is why, again, the Bible tells us the fear of God is wisdom. So we need to know that, and young people ought to know that. As they are holed up at home because of the holiday, holiday is a good time to rejuvenate, to revive themselves, you know. After all, learners have had a very difficult time due to the crash program. The Mandarins at the Ministry of Education were hell-bent to take the program of the schools back to normalcy. And through that, it has not been easy in schools, both for learners and for teachers, and even for school arrowheads, the administrators. And now, when schools were closed, I believe, and I'm cocksure, that every learner said, good riddance, and it's good time to rest, and rest is good. But as they rest at home, we are at a critical time because December holiday is a holiday that is full of fun and festivities. And in all these things, we need to know that they need to come up with a way on how they can spend this time wisely. And that means that they have to think about balancing three things. One, they need to focus on balancing home chores with personal study time and leisure time. When we are at home, as learners, as young people, as children, as teens, as teenagers, as young adults, we need to think about attending to home chores. We need to assist our parents, our guardians, you know, our caregivers, whatever people we stay with at home, we should help them to attend to home chores. We should learn how to, you know, wash the dishes. We should learn how to milk the cows if they are there, you know, how to go to the shamba if it's in the rural setup, you know. Whatever setup you are in, I believe there is some sort of home chores you need to brace up yourself for. But again, it's important to create time, and creating ample time for personal study. Being at home during the holiday does not mean that we break completely from the rigmarole of academic work. The academic work still can be there, and more so because we are learners, so we remain learners at all cost. So we create time. We need to come up with maybe a personal study timetable or study schedule on how to study, you know, which is very, very important. Some parents are organizing on how tuition programs, you know, can go on, individualized tuition programs. So that's very useful for our learners so that they remain focused as far as academic work is concerned. But again, we are also saying there is time to be created for leisure, you know, for leisure, for recreation. Look at the word recreation. It's about creating yourself again. So every sort of recreation should give you an opportunity to create yourself again, which is very, very important. As we speak now, World Cup is on. So watching football is good, but we are saying it's not about gluing your eyes on TV all the time. That will be a lack of wisdom as far as use of holiday is concerned. And therefore, I have 10 points I want to share on how our young people can make wise use of the holiday. And specifically, we are talking about the December holiday, which is spilling to January. As we know that schools will open in the third week, as the third week of January begins. So number one, it is important to build useful bonds. Build useful bonds. Build useful bonds. Bonds. When I talk about building useful bonds, it means that number one, I am saying that as children are at home, as learners are at home, they should bond better with people who are close to them. And part of those people are the immediate family members, the siblings, the parents, you know. And then they also have an opportunity to bond with friends in the neighborhood or in close range. It's not time to be at loggerheads with parents or be at loggerheads with family members, but it's good, it's advisable, it's prudent to build useful bonds with people who are close to them. And we know that there are many things that may make learners or children who are at home not to build useful bonds with people close to them. And they need to really check into such things. It's good to make wise use of friends, because they are told whoever walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools will be destroyed. You know, bad company corrupts good morals. So it's good to build useful bonds. That's a very, very important thing. Number two, it's good to focus on reading good books. Reading good books. With all the time in their hands, they should focus on reading. And reading is a culture. We talk about focusing on building a culture of reading, a rich reading culture. So I know some of them struggle with reading, but it is important to build it as a culture. It becomes a habit, And that habit of reading is what can lead to excellence. As you are told by one of the great Greek philosophers called Aristotle, that we become what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. So the habit, the hobby, the ritual, the routine of reading is what makes them to eventually even build content that is required. And content is very key. That is what will make them to build a rich word bank for the essence of communication and writing, like writing imaginative compositions. That is what will build their memory. That is what will make them have content for conversation, you know, with friends. Conversations required, you know, like argument, you know, how do you argue, which is quite key. The reading of books will give them exposure. It's good to be exposed. You can be coming from a rural setup, but you read good books that can expose you. And reading has a lot of benefits. Those who have read books by this American writer called Ben Carson, we are told that Ben Carson was raised by a single mother, Sonia Carson, and he was not performing well in school. He was in the Skid Row. He was performing poorly in class. But when the mother, Sonia Carson, introduced him to the wonder of books, reading a lot of books, his performance changed. And now we talk about someone who is a leading neurosurgeon in the world. And also, we talk about someone who is a leading author, a best-selling author in America, the writer of Think Big, Gifted Hands, Big Picture. You know, You Have a Brain, and a book called Take the Risk. So reading has got benefits. So those who are at home have notes to read. Learners who are at home have notes to read. They were given. They have got textbooks to read, the core textbooks. They have got class readers or storybooks. If you are in upper primary, you have storybooks you have been told you can read. If you are in high school, Form 1 and Form 2, there are books we call class readers, spelled out in the Orange Book by Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD. Now, those who are in Form 3, who are headed to Form 4, or those who are in Form 2 headed to Form 3, you know the set books that have been given out. You know you ought to read. Now, it's good to spend time to read the set books so that the storyline or the plot of the set book sinks deep in your impressionable mind. The work of the teachers is not to put the plot summary in the minds of learners. The work of the teachers of literature or Fasihi is to analyze the set texts. So the best thing to do during the holiday is to spare ample time to read those set books properly. They can also spare time. They can also spare time to read self-help books or inspirational or motivational books, books that speak to you. You know, like when you struggle with waking up in the morning, you're competing with the dead in sleeping. You can read books like The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, the great American writer. You know, you can read a book on stress management. You can read a book on time management. You can read a book on how to study. And basically, that does something in you. It creates something in you, which is quite important. But again, it's also important to spare time and read the sacred scriptures. On Saturday, I wrote something in the Saturday Nation about a book called The Jewish Phenomenon by an American writer called Steven Silbiger. Steven Silbiger talks about why Americans who are of Jewish origin only form the 2% of the population, but they are shining in America. And the secret is that one of those secrets is they know that real wealth is portable. It's knowledge. And therefore, parents encourage their children to read newspapers, to read magazines, to read books. And that is how they develop that. They develop that. A good example is Albert Einstein, the great physicist, who at age 15 read the popular science books. And that is why we attribute him to a lot of scientific knowledge and advancement. Because he says at his adulthood, when reminiscing on his childhood, he had read the popular science books. So we encourage young people to look for books and read them. But again, the same in the Jewish phenomenon. The writer is saying that the Jewish children read the spiritual books, and part of the books are what we call the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. Then there is what we call the Talmud, which is a collection of wisdom and quotes and wise sayings of the Jewish people. And then there's what we call the Mishnah. Mishnah basically is a book that documents the spiritual observance, like prayer and many other things, which are quite important. Number 3, it's important to focus on completing the assignments. Completing the assignments. I know that teachers have issued out shed loads of assignments, you know, mountain of work. And for us people who talk to students and talk to teachers, we say that learners ought to identify topics they can handle on their own while at home. Teachers also help them identify. They can read ahead. But deep within, there is an assignment given out. And if a learner fails to do the assignment, you know, they'll be at loggerheads with the teachers when the schools reopen. But let's not do the assignments because we will be at loggerheads with teachers when the schools reopen. But we should know that it's part of learning and it's part of preparing us for what is required. As we know, time has been limited. If the current Form 4s had a brief time in Form 4, it means Form 3s had a brief time. And that means there is an issue with syllabus coverage. Number 4, it is important to borrow academic practices. Borrow academic practices as you meet learners from other schools. You could be from Alliance High School. You're meeting maybe learners from Maseno or Mangu School or Pangani Girls, you know. You are in a certain academy in Nairobi. You meet a friend from Kisumu or from Nyeri. You know, you can share academic practices. You know, academic practices may not be the same. They might vary. That is why it's good to meet, and as you greet, as you interact, it's good to share these academic practices. Number 5, it's good to engage in edutainment. Engage in edutainment. I want to connect that point with number 6, wise use of media. Wise use of media. Now, engage in edutainment. Edutainment is a form of entertainment which is educative. I know as young people, we love fun, we love things that entertain us, but in the whole scheme of things, we advise that entertainment should be educative and informative. Edutainment. Connected to wise use of media, there is electronic media, there is social media, there is print media, and I think the bigger bit of it is in the use of electronic media and social media. How do we spare time to watch TV or to watch movies, to listen to music? Then the social sites that we visit, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, and any other social site. So it's good to make wise use of media. Media should not turn us to zombies, Like if you can watch a movie half a day, or you can be on Facebook for 3 hours, but you can't read a book for 30 minutes, then it means that you're not making wise use of the media. And sometimes when we have overdependence on media, it can turn us to zombies, or it can create what we call lassitude, mental laziness. So it's good to just create the required time for that. It's not bad, but let's not be there all the time. Now, number 7, it's good to participate in church. Participate in church. Churches and FBOs, faith-based organizations, have come up with programs, seminars, workshops, camps, conferences, conventions, convocations. Now, these programs are supposed to help young people grow spiritually. Just as we are told in Luke 2:52, Jesus grew in stature. He grew up in stature, in stature and in wisdom, having favor with God and with men. So it's good to not just to grow intellectually, but also to grow spiritually. And that spiritual growth is gained in church, participating in church programs, which is very, very important. Personally, I can attribute to that, and I can say a lot happened to me because of participating in church programs. Now, number 8, learn more about careers. Learn about careers. A career is a job or a profession that will enable you to grow, to progress, to access success, and to prosper in life. So how do they learn more about careers? How do young people learn more about careers? It's good to watch programs on TV that talk about careers. It's good to read books on careers. It's good to interact with mentors to help you identify your career. It's good to engage in what you call job shadowing. Job shadowing has to do with visiting places where people are doing what you'd want to do in future. For example, if you want to be a lawyer, you can hang around with lawyers. If you want to be a doctor, you can visit a hospital. You see the way they are doing it. It's actually an extension of apprenticeship. If you want to learn how to do it, if you want to learn the ropes, you see how are they doing it, and you can actually learn on the job. So learning about careers is of essence, is very, very important. Number 9, it's good to unleash potential. Unleash potential. Now, about potential, we focus on talent, gift, and skills. A talent is an inborn ability. A gift is a God-given ability or a divine-driven ability, and a skill is an acquired ability. So, discover your talent, nurture it, and allow it to grow. Everyone has a talent. A gift is God-given, which means if you are connected to the source of life, God, he can impart a gift in you. As we read in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, we are told about gifts. But Paul, as a writer to his mentee Timothy, in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 6, he charges Timothy. He tells Timothy, do not neglect the gift of God. Fan the gift of God in you, which you received by the laying on of hands. So fan the gift, fan it into flames, And then verse 7, he tells him, for God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of sound mind, a spirit of power, a spirit of love. So it's true that when you have the Spirit of God in you, the Spirit brings the fruits, as we are told in the book of Galatians, but the Spirit of God also gives us the gifts of the Holy Spirit that actually now help us to achieve some things. Then there is what we call the skill, which is an acquired ability. You can learn about communication, about writing, So skills are several. We have soft skills. We have got transferable skills. We have got employability skills. We have got people skills. We have got intrapersonal skills, which even for the sake of acquiring jobs in future, they are of essence. They are very important. And lastly, I want to say that it's good to learn from mentors. Number 10, learn from mentors. Learn from mentors. Now, a mentor is not a role model. A role model is somebody who is out there and you admire his life or her life and you want to be like him or like her. When you grow up, you must not meet your role model. Your role model just inspires you out there. But a mentor is somebody who is more experienced, more skilled in life, who can guide you through the journey of life. Because life is a journey, not a destination. I read in a book called The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Dr. John C. Maxwell, an American pastor and writer, says that if you want to know the way, ask those who are coming back. Which means that there are people in life that can guide you, can act as a good guide to show you the way. So what you don't learn through mentorship, basically you learn through exploration. And explorers died miserably sometimes. Or it can be, what you don't learn through mentorship, you learn through experimentation. And you know how experiments sometimes go. Your mentor also determines your mentality. A friend of mine also says, mentored people last longer. Now, there is a book I read called Lessons of Experience. Lessons of Experience, and great authors of this book say that we learn 50% from experience. 50% of what we know, we learn from experience. 20% is from failures. 10% from formal education. And then the other 20% is from mentors and coaches. So look at it that the formal education only gives us 10%. Experiences of life, 50%. Failure, 20%. Then mentors and life coaches give us 20%. So it's good to have a mentor. Have a mentor to guide you. Back to the Bible, a classic case of mentorship is Paul and Timothy. In 2 Timothy chapter 2, Paul tells Timothy, his mentee, Timothy, my son, grow in grace that is in Christ Jesus. Verse 3 tells him, and the things you have heard me from many witnesses, commit them to faithful men who will also teach others also. Now, so you look at it that it's a journey. Mentorship. Mentorship is leadership, which is very, very important. I want to recap or to recapitulate what I've taught here on wise use of the holiday. We said that wisdom is quite key, and it's good to think about how we use the holiday. So we have looked at 10 points, which are basic. Number one, it's good to build useful bonds with people who are close to us. Reading good books, very important. Completing assignments issued out by teachers or by educators that were handling us in school. It's good to borrow academic practices from friends that we interact with, peers, and all that. Number 5, it's good to engage in edutainment. Edutainment is a form of entertainment which is both educative and informative. Wise use of media, also very key. All forms of media, social media, electronic media, print media, etc., etc. Then participating in church programs, going to church on Sunday, attending workshops, seminars organized by the church, the camps, the conferences, the convocations, conventions, etc., etc. Then learning about careers from books, from mentors, from career programs, and many other avenues that are at our disposal. Then we have also said it's good to unleash your potential. Potential has to do with your talent, your gifts, your skills. So talent is inborn ability, gift is God-given or divine-driven, and then a skill is an acquired ability. The last point, we have looked at learning from mentors. A mentor is somebody who is more experienced in life, who can take you through the journey of life, which is quite important. I think that marks the end of our presentation. I want to say that we want to wish again those who are going on with the exams good time, and for them who are at home for the holiday, we want to ask you to make wise use of the holiday. I repeat Proverbs chapter 4 verse 7, wisdom is the principal thing. In all your dealings, seek understanding. So I want to wish you all the best. We shall create other segments, a lot of them, to help you stay focused. Even for them who are in school doing exam, we shall organize something for them on what next after KCSE. So thank you very much.